Every philosopher had a minor or major effect on the world, but there are those who acted as architects of the world order which was established after them. Jean-Jacques Rousseau was one such philosopher. He did not see himself above all with his enlightened mind, or did not claim that his knowledge gave him the right to pass judgment on others. He merely wished to share his thoughts on civilized societies, as he considered it to be his responsibility to question and develop theories on social matters. Rousseau was a sensitive person. He was not oblivious to what was happening around the world. There were many people suffering due to structural and moral collapse of social order. Those who had power did not use it for righteous purposes, but rather for bolstering their own position by bending their subjects to their will. The authority given to the ruling class by the people had been misused to keep the masses silent, as the rich and the powerful thrived on the weakness of the citizens. The societies which had been formed with the promise of organized and rapid development had become means of mass oppression and aggression. The invasive power-based policies of empires led to atrocities around the world which were supposedly justified only by the immense power held by the aggressors. There was clearly something wrong with the world. Rousseau's effort was focused on finding out how it all went terribly wrong and what could be done about it. He structured his findings in his book, The Social Contract. One thing Rousseau was especially good at was utilizing his skills to systematically analyze social issues with vast and complex backgrounds. The social problems experienced by human civilization had drawn his attention. He theoretically tracked the development of civilization back to its earliest stages to discover how things should have been ideally and how problematic they turned out to be. He then explained what and who may have caused these problems and proposed his own solutions with their logical explanations. Some of his ideas may seem out of date today, but the points he made in his book influenced many social reformations around the world, even many years after he passed away. According to Rousseau, the establishment of societies was not a purely natural process. If humans were to live completely under the guidance of their natural instincts, they would become isolated and would not be able to reach their full potential. In a completely natural state, everyone would just live remotely in the forests without feeling any need to form complex societies. Humanity's desire for individuality and freedom would become the main obstacle on its path to gradual development. By sheer natural will, everyone would like to live completely isolated or in very small and temporary groups, unwilling to compromise their freedom to choose freely. The societies which Rousseau had seen and the societies we see today are actually a product of a compromise. We have traded a certain extent of our freedom in return for civilized development and social collaboration. Rousseau, although a romantic by heart, said that humanity's right to move beyond its own nature and establish societies through social cooperation and agreements is sacred. He believed that almost everything we cherish about civilization stemmed from the unwritten mutual agreement between people. He called this binding state of agreement a social contract. Humans had come together to agree on common interests and principles to form societies. The lack of such an agreement or contract would bring any real form of development to a halt, pushing people into isolation. For Rousseau, it was a part of our civilized logic to move beyond our biological nature to form societies. He explained this through the formation of families. The weakness of a child binds him or her to the family. The child needs to stay with the family to fulfill his or her needs and to stay safe. Yet, once he or she grows up, the need for the family will cease to exist. then why don't we see every family breaking down into small pieces as children grow? Because the child who has grown up realizes that it is wiser to compromise a proportion of freedom for the sake of utilizing the family's cumulative experience and development. It may not always work well with our emotions and biological drives, but it is logically clear that unity paves the way for safety, rapid development, and strength. This mutual understanding is not verbally expressed among the family. It is just understood by the actions of the members of the family. There are no contract papers signed, and usually not a single word is spoken about it. It has just become a part of our accumulated human experience that it has to be this way. It has become almost natural for us to limit the reach of our natural desires. Those who cannot exist in a society and cannot control their biological needs are usually likened to animals. For Rousseau, to be human and to be civilized, we had to form societies. If the mechanisms which form societies were logically profound, then why did many social institutions become means of aggression and oppression? Rousseau pointed out that it is actually about the way we perceive the concept of rights and authority. Rousseau did not argue against the existence of a powerful government or a leader. On the contrary, he claimed that it is good that a leader and a governing body takes the initiative for the people to manage the country. He was against the understanding that this authority stemmed from power and power only. There had been philosophers like Rousseau who had claimed that societies exist through social contracts. According to Rousseau, their problem was that they didn't take into consideration the positive aspects of social contracts. They claimed that we give our freedom to an authority so that we wouldn't fight all the time. They based their conception of social contracts almost completely on survival and did not care much about the limitations of the system. Rousseau, on the other hand, drew attention to the importance of the origins of social contracts. He built his ideas not only on the harsh aspects of the formation of societies, but also on the desire for reaching common goals and collaborative development. The people gave the leader and the government some sort of authority so that they could use it to manage their resources and time efficiently. Ideally, the main principles of social contracts should have been built on this. Rousseau taught that the reason that societies sometimes failed was because they did not act in accordance with the main principles of the social contracts. Leaders in power justified their every move by claiming that the authority was given to their ancestors by their people. Yet, they missed out on the point that this authority was given to them so that they could lead their people to safety and peace. Rousseau said that power achieves legitimacy through righteous intentions, not through its own existence. Brute force cannot justify itself. To think the contrary is inhuman, futile, and will cause people to suffer. Rousseau's ideas on the formation of societies and the balance between the elements of a society became a beacon of common sense for all those who were not happy with the way things used to be. Even many years after Rousseau's demise, there were powerful leaders who acted on his ideas. Rousseau's ideas contributed greatly to the formation of modern states which were based on the rights of citizens. The social order in which we live carries the marks of Rousseau's words.